Well, welcome again to the Signal Bridge Project Part 1. Some of you may already have seen this video. The first time I did it, I forgot to delete the background noise before the voiceover, so I'm taking care of that now. I've built some of these NJ International signal bridges in the past. These were cantilever models that I've used over at the Kelly siding at the east and west siding switches. But I decided I was going to need another signal bridge. I added this crossover to my model railroad, and I do want to go ahead and protect it with some signals. So that's the nature of the project. What I've drawn here is a little diagram. You can see over on the right by the station there was a crossover there, but on the left I've decided to add another crossover. That way, if there's trains parked at the station or trains working, the industry's there, a train can cross over to the other track and get around the work. And so I've decided to go ahead and add a signal. And I'm going to use a double track bridge. I'll have well, there will be a signal head for westbound traffic on track 1 right there, and that's going to indicate the switch right down there that they'll be facing. They either have a stop or a clear signal, and then for westbound on track 2, a double head signal to indicate whether they're clear straight ahead or taking the diverging route. I happen to have some signals that were old signals. A few years ago, the cats got up on the train layout and decided to chew up signal lights. Mostly they damaged the ladders and the working platforms, but the masts were okay. So I happen to have a couple of double head and a single head signal lying around that I can reuse in this application. So I got my hands on the NJ International double track signal bridge. It's a squared off structure, and it's made of a plastic. It's not styrene. I'm not sure what it is. It's a little more flexible than that, but it has only a few parts, and of course we always take a look at the instructions, and sometimes we don't really need them. It's a fairly simple structure. I found out it does have very nice locator tabs on the pieces, so it's easy to get them to fit together. Started out with the sprue nippers to cut the pieces out, but I found there wasn't a lot of room between the pieces and the sprues for the snippers to get in, so I ended up using the X-Acto knife to end up cutting out all the parts from the sprues and getting them all organized there on the work surface, ready to go. Before getting started, it's always kind of nice to get all your parts organized first and make sure you know which part is for what and get them all organized. Using the X-Acto knife to clean up the parts a little bit, and of course a little bit of using the hand file to file off some flashing and some extra nibs. I use the Plastruct adhesive for joining all my plastics, and it works on all the variety of modeling plastics you might encounter. And go ahead and this went together fairly quickly with that adhesive. No great problems. It sets up fairly quickly. One thing that's always good to do, of course, when you're building such models is to dry fit the parts together first. Like I think you'll see a little bit of that here, cleaning up the parts again there a little bit, but I go ahead and place the part there without adhesive just to check the fit and make sure that's the way it's going to go in, and then go ahead and apply some of the Plastruct to it. And it does set up fairly quickly. You've got an open time of a few seconds, so you don't have to get it precise, but you do have to get it properly positioned fairly quickly, because that will set up in about 30 seconds or so. I think it's a fairly quick acting product. So there, the bridge is mostly complete. I didn't show it on camera, but I added there's a ladder that comes with it, one to go up each side, and also there's some extra gussets at some of the joints and some little feet that go down at the bottom. So you got all those glued on there properly. And now I'm taking those, the old signal masts, and having made some measurements, I truncated them, cut them to the right length for this new application. One of the challenges there, you could obviously tell, is I wanted to cut those masts down to size, but I didn't want to cut the wires because those are really a challenge to snake through and reattach. I contemplated putting the masts on the inside of the structure or putting them on the outside, and I decided it was going to be a little bit easier for my purposes, I think, to put them on the outside. But here a little bit of a quick check with the completed structure, just putting it over the track with the highest trains on the layout are the double stack cars, and you can see it does clear quite nicely. So what I've got to do now is make up some little styrene plastic brackets to attach the signal mast to the signal bridge, and using the calipers there to get some measurements on the the diameter of the signal masts themselves, and applying some measurements to some styrene and cutting it out to the right size. And ultimately, as I recall, I drilled holes in it. Yep, find the right size drill bit, and figure out exactly where you want those holes to be. And trying to be a little bit careful with those measurements so everything will work out okay. I realized after I had cut out the first one and drilled a hole through it, I thought for the next, I need 4, actually I need 6 of them altogether. So I decided in the future I would cut a long piece of styrene and drill all the holes in a larger piece and then cut them all down to the little sizes. There you see me doing that. Using the round file to widen those holes a little bit to make sure they'll fit fairly well. And then some Plastruct again to attach the brackets to the signal bridge. I had a spare piece of mast material to run through it, and making some measurements to make sure it was pretty square compared to the legs. And no model railroad project is complete if you don't end up using your Dremel tool. I decided to round off the edges of those brackets. I thought they just looked a little bit better than being square. So the Dremel tool, at a little bit of a slow speed, was actually pretty good for chamfering or rounding off those edges. And then doing a little bit of cleanup also with the hand file to make them look nice and pretty. A little bit of flat black spray paint to cover the whole structure. The plastic that came with it was a little bit glossy, so it was good to go ahead and do the flat black anyway. And now I can go ahead and test fit the mass in position and see how it's going to look. I think that's going to end up looking pretty good. So that'll be the end here of part 1. In the next part, we got to go ahead and start in with some of the electronics and some of the other ancillary work. Thanks for watching.